Prisons are basically unyielding fortresses built in a way so that no one can even think of getting out. With armed security on the lookout 24/7 for any kind of trouble, it is almost impossible for any prisoner to break free. But there are still some devious masterminds who manage to crack the code and escape from even the world's most impenetrable prisons. How exactly did these clever outlaws plot their way out of maximum security confinements to finally breathe the air of freedom? From El Chapo escaping the Altiplano and John Anglin breaking out of the Alcatraz, we will discuss the greatest escapes ever made from the world's most impenetrable prisons. On number 1, we have the Alcatraz escape. The Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary is known for being one of the most secure prisons in the world. Interestingly, the word Alcatraz is derived from an Arabic word that means the rock. Now, that makes sense as it was built on an island about 2 kilometers off the coast of San Francisco, California. It was home to some of the most heinous criminals of all time, including Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, Creepy Carpies, and a lot more. What made the Alcatraz Island so famous for being escape-proof and inescapable? Well, in its first year, the prison had 242 prisoners and 150 security personnel. That means that it boasted the lowest ratio of prisoners to guards in any prison in all of United States at the time. Additionally, barbed-wired, 25-foot-tall walls surrounded the building, and there were numerous guard towers from which any escapee could be gunned down very easily. But that's not it. The most nerve-wracking task by any escapee, if he by some miracle reached shore, would be to swim across the icy cold water to reach the mainland. From the sound of it, even Houdini would have a tough time escaping Alcatraz. However, 4 men did manage to beat it. Who were they? Namely, they were Alan West, Frank Morris, John and Clarence Anglin, or the Anglin brothers, all serving lifelong sentences for their crimes. Frank Morris had an IQ of 133 and knew the ins and outs of the building. He came up with the entire escape plan. He had also previously escaped from the Louisiana State Penitentiary but was caught later. The Anglin brothers were very good swimmers as they spent their childhood swimming in the chilly waters of Lake Michigan. Alan West, despite being the least intellectual of the group, discovered that the ventilation shafts of their prison cells actually lead to the roof. The first step of the escape plan was to widen the ventilation shafts of their rooms. The escapees used metal spoons and discarded saw blades for this, and covered up the holes with painted cardboard. They did all this during music hour so that the drilling noise would not implicate them. The shaft led to a corridor which ultimately led to an unguarded area of the roof. Here, they prepared a raft using 50 raincoats, sealing them with steel pipes. You must be thinking, all the while they were preparing this, how come no one noticed that they were gone? Well, they crafted dummy heads using toothpaste and toilet paper and put these dummy heads in their beds. Quite clever, right? Finally, on 11th June 1962, after 6 months of planning, they shimmied their way through the ventilation ducts and up to the roof. Alan West, however, could not get to the rendezvous point on time and was left behind. Anglin and the Morris brothers got to shore and made their way to the mainland. We are not sure whether these escapees actually made it or not, because they were never sighted again. But then again, their bodies were also never found in California waters had they drowned. They did have a raft with them and were good swimmers. What do you say about this? Number 2. El Chapo's escape from Puente Grande. Located just outside Guadalajara, Mexico, is the Puente Grande prison. It is a maximum security prison with an army of guards and thick concrete walls. This impenetrable fortress was the destination of the most feared drug trafficker in the world, El Chapo. El Chapo, or Joaquin Guzman, was a billionaire and the most ruthless, successful drug lord. Even now, his name is only just whispered in Mexico. He was at the center of a drug war that cost thousands of people their lives. That's why the Mexican government conducted an extensive manhunt and eventually caught Joaquin in June 1993. He was imprisoned in an isolation cell at the Puente Grande, but one could not tell that it was a prison cell as he enjoyed a lot of luxuries. El Chapo had liquor of his own choice, food, women, and even met up with his wives. Due to the fact he was filthy rich, El Chapo bribed almost all officials of the prison and ran his whole drug operation and shipments from his cell. This earned him $20 million a month, and the Sinaloa cartel continued to thrive with its boss behind bars. However, in 2001, the U.S. government announced that Mexican criminals charged in the U.S. would be extradited back. Now this was a blow to Joaquin. He knew that if he were extradited to the U.S., he would not have the same power there to run his crime syndicate. And that is when he started plotting his escape plan. El Chapo was quite the escape artist and employed his reputation as a brutal drug kingpin to influence prison officials. He took into confidence only a handful of guards so that word would not get out, and he used about $25 million to bribe them. On the day of escape, a worker named El Chapo opened his cell door, helped him hide in a laundry cart, and wheeled him out of the prison gates. A car was waiting for him, and Joaquin was off on his jailbreak journey. By this point, federal law enforcement was on his tail, and after another few hours caught a helicopter to Mexico. In Mexico, he had greased a lot of palms and thus had the local police in his pocket. He was able to safely make it into a safe house and started running his crime syndicate again. The fact that he was able to just waltz out of Puente Grande creates the epic legend of El Chapo as being the untouchable and the uncatchable. Number 3. Escaping the Western State Penitentiary. The Western Penitentiary is based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It is nicknamed The Wall because of its large, forbidding walls made of solid stone and concrete. No one in the past 100 years has been able to dig their way out of this godforsaken hellhole. Until Nuno Ponce. He was charged with a 24-year sentence for safe cracking. Nuno saw the Western Penitentiary as just a puzzle waiting to be solved. Luckily, he had a cellmate he could trust. They brainstormed about ways they could escape. Both of them lacked mining skills and thus took into confidence another prisoner, Kevin Billingsley. He was in prison for assault and robbery. Kevin knew his way about digging and mining tunnels. The next problem was to solve where the tunnel would start and where it would end. Nuno got a job in the maintenance office of the prison engineer. There he had access to the blueprints of the prison. He also noticed a crawl space in the office. He decided that this was where they would start digging. However, he needed the key to the crawl space which hung at the waist belt of a prison guard. While his confidant started a fake fight to create a diversion, Nuno got the impression of the key on a styrofoam cup. At night, he and his cellmate made a copy of the key. By chance, as part of his job, he was escorted to a warehouse just outside the prison walls. Bingo! This would be the outlet of the tunnel. Nuno added 3 more members to his team to help with the strenuous task of digging. They used a stolen hammer drill and a hydraulic jack. It took them 4 months to dig the entire tunnel and break through the concrete floor of the warehouse. On the day of the escape, nervous and scared, the team shimmied its way through the mine, successfully reaching the warehouse. There, they changed out of their prison jumpsuits and into normal clothing. No one even guessed who they were as they walked out of the prison gates and even waved at one of the guards. On number 4, we have the inescapable New York prison. Elmira Correctional Facility is a maximum security prison located in Chemung County, New York. It is also known as the Hill owing to its 4-story building made of reinforced concrete and steel. On the bottom floor of this housing unit was a prisoner named Timothy Vale. Vale was a very violent and nasty person and was sentenced to 49 years of prison for his crimes. The peculiar thing is that Vale could see the outside world from his cell window, and he was not content with staying inside. One day in the prison yard, Vale spotted a louver on the roof. It was about 5 by 5 feet in size, fitted with a fan. Vale's mind clicked for this louver to be his escape route. To get to it, he would need access to the attic. To get to the attic, he would need a room on the 4th floor. And lo, on the top floor was his friend's cell. His name was Timothy Morgan. They had previously spent some time together in the Drug Abuse Correctional Department in the same prison, so the officials did not see the need to reject the request for the two becoming roommates. Finally getting residence on the top floor, they needed a tool to create a hole in the ceiling, all the way to the attic. Vale got a job as a tool clerk in the carpentry shop of the prison and managed to sneak out a sheetrock screw. Now, whoever was in the top bunk carved away at the ceiling all night. It took the co-conspirators about 99 days to finally create a small hole. To widen it, they used a sledgehammer, again, obtained from the prison carpentry shop. On the day of the escape, they covered themselves with oil to slip their way out of the hole and into the attic. The 2 prisoners disabled the fan, bent the louvers, and stepped onto the roof. Now they were faced with a real dilemma, a 46-foot climb down the tall prison wall. They had prepared a makeshift rope using bed sheets. On their way down, Vale stumbled and fell 25 feet to the ground. He was injured badly, but the pair continued to flee. They escaped into the surrounding woods and later stole a car. Quite soon after that, they were caught by the police at a supermarket. Vale and Morgan are now in separate prisons held in solitary confinement 23 hours a day, 7 days a week, to prevent them from ever cooking up an escape plan again. Which of these jailbreak plots shocked you the most? And how do you think they could have been made better? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos.